While our debut season in the second tier with FC Gifu is still going remarkably well, but there are just a few frustrations starting to creep in. We've been FM'd a few times, our defensive form is beyond inconsistent, and most importantly perhaps, Hiroki Izumi has maybe underwhelmed in this transfer window. Last time I suggested that, he shut me up with aplomb. Let's see if he can do the same today, as it's deadline day in August. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 16 of the FM24 Head Coach with me, Daniel. We are back today for deadline day in August and we are awaiting potentially another Hiroki Izumi special. His mid-season transfer windows have actually been a bit of a mixed bag. Last year, they fired us to title success. The year before, when we just joined the club, it was pretty average, but we were finding our feet there as well. This time around though, a few concerns, which we'll discuss in a minute. We've also had some mixed form on the pitch, but a huge moment in our last game, and that leaves us in third place behind the top two, but still in with a chance of promotion. If you're looking forward to seeing if we can get it, and whether we can get a good result away at Kumamoto today, as well as what Hiroki Izumi delivers, then please do put a thumbs up on it. A reminder that tomorrow is the final day of double uploads from these series before we revert to rotating them each day. So from Sunday onwards, the two long-term stories rotate each day at 3:30, but we will have a few other specials you can keep an eye out for as well. But let's move on to FC Gifu because it's been an interesting couple of months. You were with me last time as we stayed in the hunt at the top with a good draw against Tokushima and a really good performance. We lost to top tier opposition in a cup, but otherwise we've not been too bad. Let's have a look though at the transfers and the schedule since then, because it's not been quite so good. The transfers is where I'm perhaps a little bit more concerned, because I'm looking at the longer term planning rather than the here and now. If we have a look at the transfer history, not much in terms of the window. A few young players out on loan, including Sano, who's got his second club of the season, not really improved at his first, and Rui Asako, who was the only one from the first team squad to move out. He was loaned to Miyazaki, and hopefully he'll come back a better player. It has led to a few debates from the squad about the strength of depth in midfield, but we have got a player that's potentially coming in which might solve that, so we'll wait and see. In terms of ins for us this window though, two young players who are pretty average. We've got Yuta Tone, who is 2-star ability, a defender who's 5'5" and can't jump. Not ideal, I think you'd say. And then Ryo Hoshino, who is a left back who is 5'8", can't jump and can't really defend either. Positioning of 6 for a defender, never going to be popular in my book. Let's have a look at the one senior player who's come in though, and it fits the pattern with this year's game, something I'm noticing more and more, both in this save and with Southend. When you bring in a player on loan, or when the director of football does on this occasion, you have a very quick issue, which is that they always seem to get injured in the first month. Quite often, similar length injuries as well. So he bought in Ibuki Matsushita for 650 quid a week, 19-year-old defender who's not bad, but again, 5'8", 6 jump in reach. If anything, I was probably going to play him in centre midfield, which is where we needed some depth. He's now broken his ribs and is out for 8 weeks, so we'll miss the rest of these fixtures, but might be fit after that weird break before the middle of October. Let's have a look at the pending deals though, because that's where more of the issues come. So in terms of the outs, if we hide the inactive ones, we've got Tsubasa Kusamoto who's leaving the club. He is now a natural striker, but it's come at a cost. It's declined his attributes because we've obviously reached his maximum potential, and he's therefore had his attributes sacrificed a bit to make sure he can play the position. But in real life, he is a striker, and we completed the project. And he did score a couple of big goals for us too, particularly in the Japanese Cup. Let's move on to the ins though, because I have concerns. Let's have a look at the left back, who he has pre-agreed a deal for next winter, and he's basically going to be the replacement for the superstar we've got on loan at the minute. And that has me concerned because Ryosuke Yamanaka is 32 already, he's declining physically already, and he's not as good already. I mean, there are a few problems there, aren't there? Versatile, good player, will do a job for a year, has played for the Japanese senior team, and has played a few games in the top tier this year in fairness, but he's not quite it, is he? And if he's going to come in by the winter, he'll probably be a little bit worse by then. and he's already thinking about his coaching career, which is a concern. So I'm not so sure that's a great deal. It would have been if he come in now and been a good left back, but for the winter he might be declining by then. The other two, well, first is a waste of money. We've got Shun Sakuramatsu. He is coming in for up to 120 grand, a young striker who is 6 foot, but doesn't offer a huge amount if we're being honest. Another one of those B team signings that I just don't really get. And then the third one might be the one to solve our dynamics problems and maybe help the squad as well, because Masahiro Fujiwara is a right midfielder, little bit odd as well. It's a 5 grand deal, which would be incredible value. It's a good player, very handy to have in the squad, would be first backup in that area. But it's a bit of a weird balance here because he's 5'7", he's left-footed only, and he can't play on the left side at all. So he can only play off the right, and he'll do a job for us, there's no doubt about that. But I'm not adjusting the principles of our tactic here because it's working so well. Mentally, he's very good, he's determined, he's good enough technically. But I do wonder what value he's going to give us as a starter if he can't play off the left side at all. And as we've seen with Kumamoto, if you train a completely new position for someone who's almost at potential, you're not going to get any attribute improvement. So, bit of a catch-22 there, but he will come in, or hopefully come in, and I think he'll be a good addition. And hopefully, if nothing else, he's good enough to appease this. There's not enough depth on the right of midfield. Well, Park, let's hope this signing will change that. Maybe the director of football's gotten in with the players, I don't know. But it's 8 o'clock on deadline day. We have got 15 hours to go. It promises to be a pretty interesting day in store here. It always has been with Hiroki Izumi. So let's get through deadline day, see who he brings in, then we'll have a look at the schedule and play our big weekend match. Well then, we've reached lunchtime and there's about 4 bits of news we've got to get through. The first one, and the one we've returned for, is arguably the most important. Masahiro Fujiwara has agreed to join the club. We'll find out if he resolves the dynamics issues a bit later in the day, but for now, 3-star ability, 3.5 potential, on training rest, which suggests he might not be that fit, but a fringe player happy to be a backup. In that case, it's a much better deal. I was a bit worried he was going to be expecting to start games and things, but no, if he's a fringe player, that's a good signing, and hopefully will solve some problems for us. But a bit earlier in the day, we've had more news as well. You can see I've been applying for a few jobs because I've been a bit worried and I feel we're getting close to our ceiling here. I look at some of the top tier sides that we've played in the cup or that are even near the bottom where jobs have come up. We ain't competing with them if we do get promoted. Unless Hiroki has one hell of a winter, that is. But Tajima is another deal that has fallen through. He had been offered a contract by another club. In fact, our opponents this weekend, we've offered him a new deal. Hiroki Izumi has triggered an extension and he will be staying. We've also had offers for Rui Asako at the end of his contract, and as you can see, he is going to the leaders in this table, Imabari. I'm guessing again it'll be a fringe player with development. And then that young striker who we were talking about, he has come in now. 2-star ability, 3.5 potential. Don't really get it, but hopefully if he's willing to spend 100 grand on him, then if the miracle happens and we do get promoted, maybe he's willing to go big in the winter, I don't know. We'll wait and see. But the big news is we've got the first team edition. It should solve the problems with dynamics. But for now, Hiroki Izumi, you never leave us this quiet on deadline day. Let's see if you've got another trick up your sleeve and whether or not you can improve my squad. Well, I was about to say, don't doubt Hiroki, but it looks like he's made an offer for someone. It's always puzzled me that these messages come through the opposite way. Surely the deal can't fall through before the offer, but either way, we did make an offer for someone, a centre-half at 20 years of age, but now he has had his contract extended and it's a good job as well because he's rubbish. So let's go through the rest of the day, see if there's any first team bids. Or more pretty big money being spent on pretty average young players by the looks of it, so maybe we're returning to FM23 with this deadline day. Nelson Ishiwatari is a 2-star ability, centre-half, holding mid and centre midfielder. We've offered 130 grand. I mean, he's okay. He's okay. He'd be involved in the squad as a backup and probably similar to Tajima or Asako previously. But he's not worth the big money and he's not natural in any position in our tactic. To offer him 1.2 grand a week, to offer 115 grand up front, seems a little bit wasteful on my part, but we're going to trust Hiroki. He's done good for us before. Let's see if he delivers the rest of the day. This guy, I'm not sure is the answer though. Well, my concerns are being heightened a bit here because Izumi has made another bid for an end of contract player. and it's another ageing fullback, which is a real worry. Najim is out of contract, I think, at the end of this year or next, possibly next. We've got a couple of decent backups at the minute. So why on earth is he going for a 33-year-old cover player? He is not bad again, but he's already declining physically. He's a great crosser of the ball. He's on big money in terms of wages as well, which is a concern. But he's going to be awful, particularly physically, by the time he gets here. He's also another one of those with a really poor determination attribute, which I find a bit odd. We'll have to look at what his is actually, Azumi. But that deal is a concern. This window is a concern. And deadline day has not been pleasant so far. Ishiwatari has joined the club. Again, he's not going to offer a great deal in the short term. But let's hope there's a big gem to come at the end of the day. Azumi, determination of 13, so it's not like he's picking out similar characters or anything. This is just a bit of a weird deadline day. I'm wondering if it's out of character for Hiroki. Maybe he'll be back and firing in the winter, but I've got to be honest with you here, this day has not been good. Well, he's agreed to pay that right back over $2,000 a week, which I think is going to be a big problem by the time he arrives. However, he has made another offer, as you can see just above here. Fukuchi is the player he's put a bid in for. Please be a good senior player. He's not. He's one for the future. It's $100,000 again for someone with limited ability and limited potential. He's not a good balanced player. I mean, he's a bit better in terms of determination and physicality, but he's not going to make it. Very odd deals going on today, and I've got to be honest, I'd rather have the old Hiroki back. I'm glad we didn't find images in the end, because he might be getting his statue torn down pretty soon. Well, a weird couple of hours, because Fukuchi has joined the club with his 1.5-star ability and not great potential. He's now brought in another one, Kanta Sakagibara, and he has joined the club as well. 165 grand, 2-star ability, 3.5 potential, no determination, no physicality. Oh, what's happened? What's happened, Hiroki? This is not what we signed up for. This is not what we're used to. With an hour and a half to go, we're going to have one senior edition on deadline day for £5,000, and then about $500,000 wasted on 3 or 4 youngsters who are never going to make it. Unless he can make a profit on these guys in the future, I have no idea what he's playing at. Well, that's it. My mood is turning. Hiroki has let us down for the first ever time. He didn't replace Asako, who he let leave in centre midfield. And while he's brought in one right midfielder, which I hope will solve some of the problems, in my opinion, he's wasted a significant amount of money on not a lot of quality. So I'll have a quick recap of what he's done overall on the day, but when you consider the last summer, he brought in that brilliant young lone centre-half, couple of strikers that helped us to the title. He's not done the same for us this time around. Maybe he's just saying, I can't find you better senior players, so I'm going to try and plan for the future, but I'd expect him to do better than he has. The people that have gone out, none on deadline day, but a couple of youngsters on loan, and one in Rui Asako, who had featured for us this season. We have a look at the year overall. Yeah, he'd made 13 sub-league appearances this year. He was certainly involved a bit. Whereas if we look at the players in, one very good right midfielder for £4,500 who will definitely add quality to the squad. But the rest of it doesn't really make sense. He spent £500,000 on 4 players. A target man who isn't great, a centre midfielder and centre half who's average, then another centre midfielder who's got no ability, and finally another centre midfielder who's got no character or physicality. It's a very off-colour day for Hiroki Azumi. And I know I keep saying it, but I'm a bit surprised now because I've been expecting the world from him. Maybe I should be forgiving because in mid-season he's given us a great squad already. We're competing above expectations, so maybe he's not worried. But if this is potentially a sign of things to come, we're going to be spending a bit more time on this screen as the season goes on. Let's go and get through to the weekend now. We'll have a look at the schedule and our recent games, and then we'll go and play our big opposition in a tough away game at the weekend. Well, a quick update from Friday afternoon, and a bit of a weird one actually. Not a message I remember seeing before in relation to this type of issue. Now, this message from Park says, I believe he appreciates you've made a number of signings to strengthen the first team squad at right midfield, but he still feels that the squad isn't strong enough. However, because of the additions, he is now prepared to wait until the next window before making a decision. I think he's out of contract then anyway. Yes, he is. And he's declining very quickly. This is a little bit odd. Not something I've seen before in relation to an issue like that. Have you ever seen it before? And what's the outcome going to be? I would expect it to be him being released because he's nowhere near where he once was. Let's go and get through to the planned game at the weekend. Kumamoto away from home, and this one is going to be tricky. Well, as we return for Sunday's game, we've got a couple of milestone moments to get through because if we go back to yesterday, this is our 100th game in management, all at FC Gifu, and what an experience it's been in fairness. Let's see if we can keep it up and do it justice today. That is going to be potentially massive, as are the results from this weekend, because if we go back to yesterday, Imabari won, they look like they're going to walk the league now, but Tokushima lost away from home at Omiya, the side we struggled at as well earlier in the year, and that means if we win this game in hand today, we can go back into the top 2 with 6 games remaining. That would be massive at this stage of the season. We go through to the development centre as well. We have had our youth intake preview. It says it's going to be an excellent intake, but there's nothing rated above C, so I think we're just going to have to wait and see what occurs with that. But overall, not too optimistic, to be honest with you. If we go and have a look at the schedule though, I want to show you what has been a very weird run of form since you were last here. We've had runs of clean sheets with 6 or 4 conceded either side. We've had wins, defeats, a mixed bag, just inconsistency is the simple term. So you were with me for this cup game against Hiroshima after the really good draw at Tokushima. We followed it up with back-to-back lead defeats for the first time this year. We got Matsumoto away from home. And it's a bit of a pattern. We're getting FM'd recently. If I show you this game in full, the detailed stats, they had 1 shot on target. We had 1.5 expected goals, dominated the game, but just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. The same sort of story against Fukuoka, who were the pre-season favourites, but have had an interesting year. They won 6-4 in a bonkers game of football. And if I show you it again, our expected goals 3.5, there's 2. But they just scored a few screamers. Every shot they hit went in. And maybe that's the quality that had them as favourites. Park got 1 in that game. Take, Mochizuki and Ainaga as well. A 2-0 win at Omiya as we got revenge for the defeat earlier in the year. Take and Endo getting us back in form with that one. Frustration against Rainmere as we relied on a 90th minute equaliser from Mochizuki. Hanya had scored early on. But again, if I show you the stats of this one, absolutely dominant performance. But for some reason, we've just stopped putting the ball in the net as regularly. So that one was a little bit annoying. Arguably our worst performance since the last episode was a 1-0 win at Chiba. Hanya scored the goal, but we weren't great in that one. The goalkeeper, one of the best players on the pitch. At home to Iwata, a comfortable 3-0 win. A bit more what we're used to, but a slight concern now that Park is starting to miss penalties with regularity. We then had another bonkers game. We lost 4-3 away at Sendai. On this occasion, it was an even game, so we probably can't have too many complaints, but a frustrating defeat nonetheless. However, we bounced back against Mashida. Just an 89th minute winner for Shunki Mochizuki, returning from international duty, and he was a bit of a superstar there. Got us 3 points after Ortiz's early goal, and crucially got us back to winning ways. Now though, we've got a bit of a stinking run of games. It's not the best running you could hope for. We play 9th place away today. Then we've got the leaders at home. Then we've got a couple of sides scrapping for their lives on the road. And then home games against top sides. 4th and 7th battling for the playoffs. Then 2 sides that might be scrapping on the final 2 days of the season, including the one that tried to employ us twice. So this could be a very interesting run-in. We've not got any sides who are likely to be on the beach or not playing for much. So everyone is going to be at the top of their game. But then equally, we're all going to be feeling the pressure. So let's just see how it pans out. We're going to head through the fixtures into this one. We know what the other 2 sides have done already. We've got to keep an eye on Okayama behind us because they did actually go level on points with us at one stage before we picked up again. So we're going to close a few down. We're going to make some big changes. And we'll be back in a minute to run through the team. Well, the problem that we're having here is that a few of the older boys are declining really quickly and their influence on the team is waning. Park has not been great recently, bar the last game. He is now the worst player in the starting 11 on paper. We go off the bench, we've got Fujioka, who has declined almost incredibly at the age of 31. We've also got Fukumori, who had a little injury. He's declining too. Sakurai's just returning from injury, so can't make the bench today. What that does mean, though, is Kita returns after an injury. He's on the bench. And then we've got Fujiwara potentially able to make his debut. It means we've got Dang Van Lam in goal today. Takahashi and Najima the fullbacks. Endo and Ortiz at centre-half. Tanaka and Park at the midfield too, with Kubota and Ainaga out wide. And then up front, it is Akita back in, with Hanya up front alongside him. Mochizuki available as a super sub if we need him, and potentially a debutant off the bench as well. Let's go and see how we get on. Well then, our opposition have made 3 changes to their team today. They've got a fairly good side on paper, and as we mentioned, they are still in that race for the playoff, so they'll be wanting a result as well. We though go into this one off the back of a late win, and hopefully with some of our confidence restored. Let's see if we can get the result we need to push into the top 2. A draw of course does do that for us, but only on goal difference. If we win it, we can put the pressure on Tokushima though. Based on the way the pressure's been dealt with so far, I'm not sure actually if it's better to be chasing or to be ahead to start with. It's back to the edge of the box, deflected shot. It seems to be raining deflected goals at the minute, honestly. They just keep occurring. It's becoming so frustrating, but it's realistic, isn't it? As Tanaka's got a free kick 30 yards out. Probably not even that actually, because the ball's in the box, just over the bar. Good effort from Tanaka. Not seen him score a free kick yet. Not sure he's actually scored for us, but here we go. He's got a chance with a free kick and he goes close as Park plays into the centre forward. Not a great ball. I'm amazed how quickly he's declined. I know he had a big injury last year, but he started this season well. And we have not started this game well. We are falling apart. They've hit the woodwork. And after 10 minutes, we should be 2-0 down. It's a corner kick. The danger isn't gone. This is not the finest hour for FC Gifu. And we are just chucking in a few of these stinkers now. It goes back to something actually that a few of you mentioned in the comments and we talked about in the last deadline day. I know that the players that have been bought in are very good ones and we can't complain at all about the winter deadline day work because it was incredible. As Hanya misses an incredible sitter. But the big thing that's come out of that is that we signed a number of players with really low determination. And one of the things I've found is when we've gone behind in a game, which thankfully hasn't been all that often, we've not really been able to get points. I think we've only picked up possibly 5 or 6 points from losing positions this year. Generally, once we're behind, that's it. And even if we score goals, we end up just completely collapsing defensively. So it is something that is an area of concern. It's something that maybe was highlighted in the winter, but we didn't make much of given the start. But let's see if we can change that here. Because I talked about Park not being great from the penalty spot now. He's still the best taker at the club. He's missed his last 2, I think. What can he do here? Park to equalise. Into the bottom corner. Great penalty. Good from the experienced man. His 7th of the season. Most of them will have been penalties as well. And after saying that we never come back from behind, it's now 1-1 and we're back in the game. As Takahashi throws down the left. They're going to go and win this game now just to prove me wrong, aren't they? As Takahashi gets it again. Options inside include Park. Chipped over the top, but Hanya was offside. It was well over hit anyway. Now Matsuzawa can start from the back. We are still very vulnerable defensively. We don't often just concede 1. It's normally none or 3 or 4. But Endo's got a great header in there. And Akita had support, but he took too long. It's just not quite clicking at the minute. As Kubota wins it back for Akita. Good ball to Ainaga on the left. This could be a chance. Out he goes. He's forced wide. And back to Takahashi, but he gets it again. Into Park. Good ball to Akita. Think he might have been offside. Yes, he is. And he blazed it over anyway. At half-time, though, we are very much back in this game. We are now the dominant force in it. And half-time's probably come at the wrong time for us. But let's get through the dressing room. Keep praising them. We've got to keep spirits up. We've got to keep confidence high. We've got to make this team believe. Because this race is going to go all the way to the wire. No one's really averaging more than 2 points a game. We're all going to get pegged back somewhere. And we just want to be in that mix come the end. Which at the start of the season seemed like a miraculous dream. But again, we say we were disappointed with deadline day. Look what Azumi's given us for the season. As Kubota gets it on the right. Back to Tanaka. Into Akita who's dropping deep again. Good football out to Takahashi. Akita finds Park. Oh, he's too late with the run. It's offside again. Play it earlier, will you? I think I'm going to bring on Mochizuki soon because Hanya's been offside virtually every time. And he's not having the greatest game. In fact, he's our weakest rated outfield player. As Takahashi plays a 1-2 with Endo. Into Tanaka and Akita. Park goes wide to Ainaga. Down the left he runs. Good ball in. Akita's touch is great. And the finish is brilliant. Through the keeper's legs from an acute angle. Marvellous stuff from Akita. And he has again delivered a big moment. might have been replaced by Take as first choice this year. But my word, he's fighting for his spot. Hanya is going to come off for Mochizuki. That will be our first sub of the day. Oh no. Pending changes and a highlight. We all know what that means. It's cleared away as far as Morales. Going to cancel it. See if it's not too late. Morales on the left goes back to midfield. Options in. I think it's going to be the curse anyway. Back to Lima on the left. And now Dowie into Atani. There you go. As soon as there's pending changes, you can see the goal. My greatest FM superstition delivers again. Mochizuki will now come on. And he's going to have to score again because we've been pegged back. And look at the stats. 2.5 expected goals to 1. And we're somehow level at 2-2. Kubota's now knackered, so we're 15 to go. Tanaka is going to be replaced by Akita. We're also going to bring on Fujiwara for his debut on the right. No change in quality there, apparently. Najim is nervous and struggling physically, so Kato on there. And I'm not going to bring Take on yet because, let's be honest, Akita's been brilliant. Probably the best player on the pitch. Well, 10 minutes remaining, and now it's a corner kick for the host. This could be devastating. It's a great save from Van Lam. Tips it onto the woodwork. Do I chuck Akita off now just because he'll be tired? I think we might as well throw on the fresh legs up there. I know that Park and Ortiz are knackered, but we've got no subs for them. So Take comes on up front. He has 4 minutes to be a hero. But at the moment, it's a free kick for our hosts who go long. Headers missed by Park, but Endo will get there. And he rather sensibly goes back to his keeper with no pressure on him. Van Lam can play out from the back, goes big. Take's up, knocks it down for Mochizuki. The sub-strikers could deliver here. Mochizuki in. What a save. He went for power. Arguably, if he placed that in the corner, it's a goal. But it's a great save regardless there. As Park will take the corner kick. Can the big men get up at the back stick? Ortiz is there. The Park delivery's good. Endo's up as well, but they all miss it. And he keeps it in on the left, but he's challenged. I'm not sure it's going to come to anything. It doesn't. 4 minutes added on. Can we find the answer? Or is it going to be more drop points? I think it is. By courtesy of goal difference, we move back up to second. But it's getting a squeaky bum time. And unfortunately, we don't look anywhere near as good as we were previously. We've got a 7-point buffer to 4th. We've got a 9-point buffer to the playoffs. We should be in there at the very least. But the top two, it looks like it's going to come down to who bottles it more. Tokushima or FC Gifu. Let's see when we're going to be back. Well, we've got 6 games to go and it's the leaders up next. It's certainly not going to be an easy run-in, that's for sure. And if you look at our form over the last, 3 months? It's not been promotion form. We started like a train, we're starting to decline, and we probably need to find some inspiration here. 3 of our 4 remaining home games against sides in the top 7, 2 away games against teams scrapping for their lives, and on the final day, we played a team that tried to employ us twice, who might yet still be in relegation trouble too. So we are going to be back for those last 2 matches, 19th away and 16th at home. How the other 2 compare, I don't know, but based on how tight we've all been this season, there is no way that there won't still be something riding on it. It's not going to be decided before then, so that is what we're going to be back for. 2 huge games which will decide probably promotion or playoffs for FC Gifu. If we can complete back-to-back promotions, it will be one of the greatest miracles this save has seen. But I'm not sure it's going to happen now. We've been in mid-table form for quite a while now, and Tokushima, they've got the top scorer in the league, and he's just returned from injury. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we get on, and whether or not we can stay in the mix for first, second, or third, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Get me your predictions in the comments. Where do you think we will finish? Will the others bottle it? Will we be able to stay in any sort of form? Or are we going to drift away now after that momentum at the start? Let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe and turn that notification bell on to stay up to date. We will be back tomorrow at the same time. It is the final day of double uploads from the beta period. And then our 2 long-term stories will rotate each day, starting with the head coach on Sunday at 3:30. If you've missed the Southend one so far, you can find that up in the eye above. There's also links to the Twitch channel, the football podcast, and a few other bits as well. Anything else you can't find is in the description below. But thank you very much for joining me as always. It's going to be a tense finish to the season. Our director of football for once has not really helped us out. So let's see if we can do it of our own accord. I'll be back tomorrow to find out the answer.